Welcome to the Mark Workman Show, and we're just glad to have you here back with us today. We got a great show for you today. This is a big show because this is a subject that we're really excited to talk about simply because I've been experimenting on myself for the last couple weeks, and it's really been eye-opening for me. So as we get into the show, we'll be able to share more of that later on in the show, but it's been interesting. We've had just amazing discussions about what's going on, and again, I've been kind of the guinea pig on this, and gladly so, to be honest with you. It's been really kind of an eye-opener for me in many ways. So just look forward to sharing that as we come up. But today we got Kathy with us again. This is our regular show. It's the Well Within Show. So we want you well within. That's our goal. We're just excited to have you here. And really our motive is for everybody to be whole, mind, body, and spirit, and your physical body, your health, and that factor in the three parts is absolutely critical. And a lot of times we ignore that. So anyway, we're going to get right started, and welcome, Kathy. And thanks a lot for showing up again. I'm glad you keep coming back.
I am glad too. And it is exciting to, talk about the well within. And I guess I want to challenge everybody to kind of an interesting little thing. So I want you to try to stand on one foot. Okay. See how long you can stand on one foot. Now, close your eyes. And it's a really amazing example of how powerful visual is. All our senses are really important. So what we're going to talk about today, I think, is really important to all of a sudden. Now we're not looking at something or feeling it like this. We actually get to see something. So I'm excited to share today.
Yeah. And the focus of our show is that, we obviously focus on the insulin resistance piece because it leads to many symptoms that we focus on, and we don't realize that the symptom is the end result of insulin resistance. So let's just take a few minutes and go through the problem and the solution, and we'll get into kind of what I've been up to the last few weeks and to have a really good discussion about that. So why don't you go through the problem and kind of give some people some baselines for why we even do the show?
Yeah, it's really great when we can understand the problem. And the problem, as you can see here on this little spinny wheel, I call it the wheel of torture or the wheel of fortune, depending on if you're in big pharmaceuticals or not. But we've got obesity, diabetes, cancer, PCOS, fatty liver, heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, migraines, erectile dysfunction, neuropathy, cirrhosis, cirrhosis. Psoriasis. Sorry, I'm like, that too is different cirrhosis of the liver. However, and then there's so many other things connected to it, whether it's the belly fat, the skin tags, the sleep apnea, the cholesterol levels, all of those things. The cool thing about them is they have one root. And so insulin resistance is that root that we're always going to keep talking about, because if we can target our focus on the root, we don't have to be chasing our tail for all the other little symptoms. Because when you go into the doctor's office, that doctor is going to give you a specialist for each of these problems. That specialist knows what pills to give you to manage the symptoms. They're not healing anything. So if we really want to get to this big root of this great big problem throughout our country, we've got to target the root. And when I say a great big problem, 93% of Americans are dealing with some sort of metabolic health issue. And that word metabolic is kind of confusing to people. It's just how your body processes energy. So if your body's not processing energy, your cells aren't being fed, all of these other things start popping out. Energy's not getting all the way from the attic all the way to the basement. And so in dealing with the root, we're going to restore energy throughout the whole body and figure out what areas are lacking.
Well, let's just go on to the solution.
All right.
And just get all this out of the way so we can have our discussion. But all these things are related back to what we're going to talk about as a subject today. And again, this chart really gives you a good indication, some things to look at.
Well, the solution that I've found and that I highly recommend, and I know there's a lot of great things out there, but this is the one that I have found that's been super helpful, and it's the Unicity. It's a 3-part protocol. You drink 2 teas a day. The teas actually are going to boost your natural GLP-1. It's a hormone that's in your intestine that says, I'm not hungry. So it controls the food noise. There's like zero food noise that allows you then to do the intermittent fasting longer. And when we're fasting, our body is in healing mode, and it's burning that extra fuel that we've stored. And so by drinking these 2 teas, and then the other really important piece of it is the third one is the balance. And in processing all our foods, they took a lot of the fibers out, so our blood sugars are spiking all the more. So adding that fiber back in is so important. And having the variety of fiber is also super valuable because we have different microbiomes in our body, down in our gut, and those things all need to be fed. So when we're just stirring up some Metamucil, it's one type of fiber. So you're only feeding the monkeys in the zoo, and the lions and everybody else are dying off. So as we've talked about this before, that balance is so important. As a product, you just shake it up, it starts getting a little bit thick, and that's going to feed all that gut biome. It's going to keep your blood sugars more level. And so you can see on the chart next to me over here on the yellow part, when we are in fat storage in damage mode, when we don't know what our blood sugar is doing, when our eyes are blinded, we eat something and it spikes our blood sugar. And then in 2 hours, we have a crash. So now we need to eat again because they told you got to eat every 2 hours. So we have that crash, and then it's like, okay, I just need a snack. So we go eat a snack. Well, when you're doing that blood sugar like that, insulin goes high and can stay high all day long. It never has time to come down. Your body doesn't have time to rest. So we're getting fatter. Fat's going to your liver. It's going to your visceral fat. It's going to your butt. It's going everywhere. So with this protocol, it's going to bring that down. As we're going to talk about that, you can see this number in the yellow, or not the number, but you can see the line. So now we're in this fat burn in relief mode because we're not spiking up above that yellow line, whether we're eating and our insulin is more at rest. So your whole body is in this place of your pancreas is resting, your insulin is leveled out. And so I'm excited that you are our guinea pig for today because I've always wanted to do the CGM, but it requires poking yourself, and I don't like to poke myself. And so why don't you share your experience with the CGM, which is the continuous glucose monitoring, because glucose is what's going to spike your insulin. Pancreas is what has to create more and more insulin. So, Mark.
Yeah, well, I was driving down 10th the other day, and I just said, you know what? I had been watching a lot of episodes on glucose monitoring and trying to figure out tools that I could use to really kind of, evaluate myself. I'm not a big fan on going to the doctor. No man is really, and really what I learned in some of the videos I watched is that a lot of times when they take a blood test or testing blood sugar at the hospital, they're pulling one little moment of time. So say I had fasted and, whatever, I get the numbers for that time and they say, oh, you're good. But the whole time I'm insulin resistant because I go on and eat my diet. I wasn't following. With the CGM, you can have 24/7 monitoring. I found myself after doing it. So right there. So I have it on my arm. And so 24/7, it's monitoring everything I'm doing. So what I found out was one of the first things that I realized is that I was maybe sensitive. I was really curious about what foods am I sensitive to? That was really one of my curiosities. And then I was also wanting to know if I was pre-diabetic. My dad was a pre-diabetic, diet onset kind of thing. I eat totally different than him. So I didn't feel like that was a problem, but I was curious to see where my spikes went and, what was occurring 24/7.
Well, and the truth is you grew up eating just like your dad because he fed you. So, you can look back and see, yeah, most likely for a lot of your years, you were pre-diabetic or diabetic, just had your eyes closed. So you never knew.
Right. So here's a snapshot of one of the first I took screenshots almost daily of everything that was occurring that was interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I've always wondered about the whey protein because I've done a lot of study on whey protein. And what I found out is it's not always great for everybody. And I think I'm one of those people. I found out that when I do a whey protein shake, this was one I'd done at noon. on the first day that I had the CGM and I spiked, it went higher than this number, 155. It went to 176, and it kind of stayed there for about 2 hours. So it was not only a spike, it was one where it endured a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was one of my first things. So I knocked the whey out the next morning. I'm not doing whey, cut that out. That was one of my foods that I found out, if that makes sense. So, so when I discovered that, I made that change. And what I found out is through my CGM thing is that, there's a thing called Dawn syndrome. I found out that the next morning. I said, why is it spiking at 5 a.m? Found out that everybody has Dawn syndrome. The body prepares you for the start of the day. It drops glucose from your liver. It's very natural. But what is unnatural about it is if you spike high and stay there for 2 hours from a Dawn syndrome where you haven't eaten. So that means you're overloaded with glucose. Okay. So what I found out is my Dawn syndrome is very normal. It'll do it maybe 15, 20 points and only lasts about 10, 15, 20 minutes and it drops off. And what I tried to stick to my normal diet. I didn't do crazy things, and I did one crazy thing, which we're going to show you here in a minute. But for the most part, I stuck to my normal diet, which is I fast in the morning. Sometimes I'll have eggs, but most days I fast, do my intermittent fasting. I'll have a meat stick and some sardines. I know it sounds super boring, but I have a really mild lunch. On those days when I look at my glucose, there was no change. I stayed in that 90 to 100, which is basically a fasting insulin. So I very level. And what I found out is my diet's excellent. I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have wild jumps. When I do have a spike from exercise, it recovers within 20 minutes. If I eat a meal at night, which I do with Kathy, we have a meal. I'll eat my meal and I'll check my glucose. It starts off at 98, 96, 90, whatever. And it'll go to 118, 122. And it stays up there maybe 15 minutes and recovers. Okay. Very, very quickly. So those were some of the things I wanted to know is, am I steady or am I having massive spikes? So the CGM was a big help for me in being able to read that.
So when those numbers are coming down, basically it means your muscle and your cells are able to absorb the glucose that you ate. And that's where that insulin resistance is basically when the cells are overfueled and they're stuffed, they actually get hard. And that's why in this product, we use the yerba mate tea at a highly concentrated level, which ups the chlorogenic acid. So you can look into chlorogenic acid if you need to, but chlorogenic acid will actually soften those cells so they can relax and that energy can come and go and flow. And that helps with the intermittent fasting, lowers that constant flow of energy that we're always pumping into us as the standard American diet. And you can just see the danger of it.
Yeah. And I can see the power of a CGM simply because, first of all, I'm doing my own research, which that I never stop saying that we need to be our own advocate for our own health and do our own research. So this was a cheap way. I used a Lingo is what it's called. I bought it off the shelf at Walmart. It's $48.10 or something. There's more expensive ones, Stello and others, and those are subscription based, $127, $150 a month. I still think that's cheap, to be honest with you, to monitor and get patterns for your own life, because everybody's a little different, in my opinion. I'd be interested for you and I to do it together sometime and then eat the same meal and see what it does for you and what it does for me. Because I think, I found out whey protein, I found out different things that I was doing that my body doesn't like that.
Well, think of it as the average. So and that's what a lot of these blood tests are doing. Oh, you're in the average. Well, if you wear a size 12 and I wear a size 10, but everybody's required to wear an 11, now your feet really hurt and mine do too, because that's real sloppy. So I think, to me, when we can personalize it and you can see exactly what's going on in your body, what a valuable tool. And I think the saddest part about these CGMs is they wait until you're full-blown diabetic. They give you a CGM, and not so you can learn and educate yourself, but so if you could just jack up more insulin. And I've talked to a number of different people that have been put on a CGM, They still don't know what's normal. They don't understand what the spike is. They just know I'm supposed to add more insulin. And if high insulin is what got you into this trouble, insulin is a growth hormone, and you keep injecting yourself with more insulin, your numbers look good. However, you're still on fire internally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you've shared with me, I don't know the specific person, just that they were told by their doctor that eat whatever you want, have whatever you want, and just monitor it with the CGM, and if you see it go up, inject yourself.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
This was a friend of mine that's actually a type 1 diabetic. So his pancreas isn't creating insulin. So he's totally dependent on more insulin. And he actually went to his doctor, and his doctor's like, well, it looks like we're going to have to up your insulin a little bit. And he said, well, what if I just quit snacking at night? And the doctor was like, well, I guess that would work too. And so they're not even trained in helping you help yourself. They're managing your symptoms. And the answer for managing it is more insulin. Yes, it brings the number down, but you're still in this growth damage mode. And so that's where, the arteries start getting hard, because that growth hormone is what makes the arteries inflamed. Inflammation is still ruling and reigning. And so then they send you to another specialist for some of those things. And you can see how that spinny wheel just keeps spinning until you put your foot down, literally, and say, hey, I want to figure out me. What size do I need to wear? And so I think these things are amazing. Everybody should be on one.
Absolutely. And
for a season. I mean,
for as cheap as it is, we complain about the cost of taking care of all kinds of things. And we $48 for our health to have like 2 weeks of information about your diet. And I would encourage you to eat a regular diet, and then your eyeballs will pop out of your head if you're eating a lot of sugar,
right?
That kind of thing. Well, let's take a look at another snapshot. Okay, this is going to show you, I want to talk about the events to the right. I have a little slide there on the side, 188, 195, 200. And if you see you can't maybe see them, but you see this is the barrier that you're not supposed to go beyond. You see that little area in there, and I'm in that area, but look where the arrow went. See how high it went? It went over.
Right. You went out of your yellow line.
And we were reading it wrong when we were in the car. So basically this event is a description, and we did a test. This is a test pattern. Like when you're a kid, this is only a test. And Kathy and I were on a little trip, and we split a scone, right?
You were in a fasted state.
I was in a fasted state. I'd had coffee, but that's here nor there. So this is around 11 o'clock.
Right.
So I have this scone, half a scone. And my blood sugar actually spiked to almost 300.
And I, because I don't have a CGM, have no idea what it did to my blood sugar.
Right. So in this, I was shocked by this. I could not believe how my body responded to flours, refined sugars, and whatever the berries were and all that kind of. It was loaded, right? It
was delicious.
It was a delicious scone. It really was. But I really started off, I think when I checked, I wish I had the slide of where it started. I want to say I was at 108 in terms of where
I'd probably be about right with.
It was a fasting.
You were in a fasted state.
It was a fasting glucose state of 108 at 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
By, I want to say 11:30, I can't remember, see the times on here. I was at 188, 195, 200, and it drove me nuts.
Going.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the meter won't give you a number past 200. So I thought, it was stuck at 200. Well, it stayed at 200 for a long time on the app. Then I realized the arrow was measuring higher and higher and higher. It wouldn't say that it was 278 or 265, but you could tell you were pushing close to 300.
It should have a warning like, you're about to die.
Yeah. So, so I know it seems crazy, but that's an experience on a half a scone for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out over the last few weeks is essentially, I went back to the problem. I'm sorry. Is what I found out is in my diet, I'm very level. Like I literally, it gives me an average and it gives me events on the Lingo app. This is Lingo app. This is training. So when you download the app, it gives you all kinds of suggestions for diets, recipes, go for a walk right after you eat your meal. It's always giving you information on how to help handle a certain event. Okay.
Okay.
So what I found out is I'm very, very level. I average 108 as a all day glucose average. I have very little spikes. I have a little bit of an exercise spike, and my dinner spike is literally 130, 133, 135, and recovers right away. And what we also found out in this week is a lot of the reading I did through the lingo and through the different training is it's typical in a typical American diet, people spike to 180 on a meal. Okay. And the goal is to return to 140 or less within 2 hours.
Right.
I never even got beyond 140 for most meals, but the average is 180. So it tells you something about our diet.
Right.
And you're saying that the app sometimes is probably using the American average, not maybe the optimal.
Your keto. I mean, you've got a really clean diet.
I do.
It would have been great to see it, a decade ago to see it would have been all over the map.
Yeah.
And so you can see where that insulin is high all day long. It never comes down. Yeah.
If just considering my diet 10 years ago when I was 49 or 50, and I was, like I've shared with you guys, I was 295 at the time. It's interesting because we thought we were eating healthy.
I was going to say 295 and frustrated.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like you let yourself go. We were eating the standard American diet, homemade bread, lots of fruits, some vegetables, we'd usually wait for them to rot, throw them away and buy some more. And that was our eating pattern.
Yeah, but I definitely had 2 big burritos. And I definitely ate, we ate.
Well, we had 2 football players at the time. So we're feeding young boys and we're keeping up with them quite nicely.
Yeah.
I always call it my football weight.
I bet you my insulin was spiked 200 all day long.
All day long.
Back then.
Yes.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm eating clean now, and I have this event with the scone, and that was an eye-opener to me. And let me go back to the media real quick and just show the other snapshot. On the left there, I just took this one to show you that on this meal, this was one of the early meals I had, and I think I had I can't remember what, it was an evening meal, and I went to, 157 or something, and within just a little bit of time, I was below 140, which is the goal. This shows you on the one slide on the left there, is basically you want to get below 140 and returning down to a normal fasting glucose state. So that's something for you to know as a guest, do you understand? But the slide here is very fascinating, and here's why. Over here, I had my half a scone and my blood sugar went bananas, right?
Yeah.
So we're driving home from, it's a 4-hour drive from where we came, and we stopped in Wilsaw.
Yep.
To the Vault.
The Vault.
And and I said, let's see what we can do here. So I had a burger with a bun loaded with onion rings. And look what my glucose did right there. It's 100. That's probably, maybe 30, 40 minutes after this burger, I'm looking at my glucose and it's 100. So for whatever reason, adding protein, adding fats will help you with monitoring your blood sugar overall. And that's what you found as well.
Yeah. And really what we talk about is the pattern on how you eat. So even when we went and he had the scone, if he would have not done it on a fasted state, let's say it had some scrambled eggs or had some fiber first, even one of the balance, you should have taken the balance before that. And that's the nice thing about the balance is it is kind of a, I don't want to encourage people to go, oh, you can eat as crappy as you want, just take the balance first. But in a food environment world that we live in, we're going to do those things. So if you would have taken a balance, it would have been interesting, or had some protein before that. That's going to keep that spike down. And that's why we always say lead with protein, follow with fiber and healthy fats, and then have your carbs if you're going to. The other thing, we've even talked to another gentleman that's on a full-time CGM for type 2 diabetes. Actually, he's a type 1 diabetic. And he's noticed if he adds fat to the whey, it slows down that spike. And so there's a lot of little things you can do and tweak it when you know what the problem is. So those are the beautiful things about, I think, the CGM is, again, it's opening your eyes. It's like looking inside your body. But a lot of these tools have been kept from us. And now we're realizing, oh my gosh, there's so many other ways for us to evaluate our own health. I hear people say, well, my doctor's happy. I'm like, But your doctor's not living in your body. You are. You need to understand your body.
Yeah. And again, this tool's really helped me to visually watch almost by the moment. And I've gotten into the bad habit of checking it every 30 minutes, and it's really fascinating. I don't know why it drags you in, just like scrolling does, right?
Ding, ding, ding.
You're just like, but it has dragged me into this thing, it's been very encouraging. I'll tell you why it's been very encouraging. I found that I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
I absolutely am on the right track. And then I found out that combinations, like you're talking about, matter. And then I'm finding out that certain foods definitely I have a reaction to. I always feel like I have a compromised liver because of medications I took for years that were misdiagnosis, 15 years of that. Never did liver enzymes, never did anything, just took a stuff because the guy, and I really believe there's long-term effects from lifestyle stuff that are still to this day affecting me, and it's going to take me a long time to kind of overcome those things. But I do believe I can overcome them.
Right. But we're all in this pickle because of marketing. And when they took out and demonized healthy fats, the butters, the fat on the meat, the oils, like the avocado oil, all of those things, nuts, those are all what we call healthy fats, but they demonized those and said, nope, you need vegetable oil. And we're thinking, well, vegetable sounds like a healthy word. So now we're eating the canola oils and all the seed oils, and those your body cannot break down. So they go right to the liver. And we're seeing the fruit of that where so many people have fatty liver. Fatty liver used to be a rare thing that only alcoholics had. Well, we're finding now more and more Americans, and actually they're even finding babies can be born with fatty liver, and it's all diet induced, which is frustrating and encouraging all in the same tone. Because if we ate ourselves into this mess, we can eat ourselves out of it. So that's the encouraging piece of we're not just yelling, fire, fire, fire. We have some water. Yes. We have a way to put it out.
So in your world, in terms of, you're talking with hundreds of people, I'm not, how many are using the CGM? How many do you think are using the CGM to monitor healthy people?
Right.
They're not diabetic. Like, I'm a healthy person who's not diabetic, not even pre-diabetic from what I found out, because I thought I was actually, is that when I realized I'm not, I'm actually below, I'm doing very well.
Right.
But my point is how many within your few hundred or all these people that you're dealing with all the time are using such a tool?
0.
Really?
If they're not already a type 1 diabetic or a full-blown diabetic, and what I'm finding is even the diabetics that are using it have no idea, still don't have an understanding. And I guess that's why I feel like I have such a passion to talk to people about insulin resistance. But do I think everybody should be using it, and especially after your experience? I think it's an amazing tool, because if we can't see inside us, we're left with these averages. The average shoe size is this, and the average is that. And throughout my decade of helping people with weight loss, you would see people would kind of get stuck or not be losing and discouraged. And I understand a whole lot more now. And I wish this was a tool that even, physicians were giving people as a tool in advance to know. And
it should be a prescription.
It should be
for
a prescription.
$48.
Well, the thing is, the average to have diabetes, it costs $4,000 to $6,000 a year. Now that could be in combination with your insurance and with your copay, but you're talking about pumps, CGMs, insulin, all of those things. So it's a very expensive diagnosis, so to speak. But if people could use, like you paid $48, granted it's a 2-week window to kind of understand what's knocking them through the park and what their blood sugar is doing. If we could really get a clear picture of that, it really makes changes. I mean, how you make.
Yeah. And one of the things we learned is that, I've been doing tests. So we had a wrap with the net 2 gram carb shells. we have never really trusted those. We buy them.
Well, anything that's marketed as, keto friendly, you don't really trust it. You don't know, but you're hoping it's a better choice.
So I've done 2 tests where I've had a morning egg wrap, and then we had an evening wrap of some sort. We used it for a smash burger. That's what we did.
Right.
So and then again, zero change, flat as a pancake. I went from like 101 to 111.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It did nothing. So the 2-gram net carb shell kind of can fit in your diet.
So let me talk about net carbs. So again, your taco shell, the difference is they left the fiber in. So if you have 20 carbs, but you have 18 fiber, you're only getting the 2 net carbs. So that's how that math works. Those are all tools and all things, but we don't understand what that means. So to have a regular tortilla and then have the option to go, oh, why would they not put the fiber back in? Let's have the fiber with it. It makes a big difference.
I've not tested a regular shell. That'd be interesting to see what it would do to me. But again, I don't want my sugar to spike and have it on my record because it's in your app forever. So I don't like that.
There's a guy on YouTube that tests his body and all kinds of things. What's his name?
I can't remember. I love his show. It's actually what made me do this.
But he's willing to try all kinds of different things. And so he's the guinea pig, and he's like, oh yeah, donuts sound good today. I think I'll test donuts.
Yeah.
And anyway, not recommending that.
Another food item, and this may be the last example of this, is the one that I like every day, and I have a Chalk Zero. And those out there might not know what a Chalk Zero is. It's 92% cacao chocolate, and they've added 7 grams of fiber. So you have a net zero, I think, almost net zero response to carbs within the chocolate. Because I like a piece of chocolate because I have this belief in my head. It's good for my heart. It's good for, chocolate has a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
And you just shouldn't eat chocolate bars. This is a
lot of the chocolate candy bars that you have don't even have any natural products in them.
They're corn syrup and colored corn syrup.
So look into the Chalk Zero. We get it online. You can order it yourself. But it's nice to have a little treat, and it's not one of those that I feel like, I'm going to eat the whole box. Where any of the other stuff that you have, it's highly addictive. It spikes your blood sugar, so all you want is more, and it spikes those cravings.
So I did a Chalk Zero all by itself as a test, and zero change. It didn't. My glucose moved not at all. So some of the things that we have chosen we're onto properly. And doing right. That's where I'm doing my test, because we don't trust anything anymore. So even like you said, marketing, if they say it's, whatever,
keto friendly or whatever, right.
I think it's good for the CGM to test those foods that you normally eat, and then you can know where your sensitivities are.
Right.
And I think that's one of the most powerful things about it is realizing over a 2-week period, I'm actually doing really well. Yeah. And then number 2, I could evaluate foods that I like and enjoy and have part of my regular life and realize they're not killing me.
Right. Well, and I think too, in finding out how your body's going to respond differently based on the years of abuse. It's going to be, respond based on a lot of different things. And you asked me about the CGM. If I know one of my clients, he is a type 1 diabetic, and he is using his CGM to monitor and educate himself. He's finding different things in his body that he can tolerate that you might not tolerate. Like the whey protein, he found out if I add some fat to that, then it doesn't spike. So that's the cool thing, is you get to adjust your shoe size. We're not all stuck in an 11 because our bodies are different.
Yeah. So as being the guinea pig, and just to follow up, I would probably try to do this twice a year. Just to check baselines, see how I'm doing. As age onset, my dad really struggled, but he also would eat cakes and pies, like a whole pie. He was really in and wonder why his feet hurt and that kind of thing, where I don't have that as a lifestyle. So it's not necessarily a concern, but I do know that my body in my 30s and 40s, in the way we were eating, I just was reading about this. This is maybe a rabbit trail, but it's okay. Is that your cells learn information and they're trained at the cellular level. They get training. So when they have been trained to hold that energy and not handle energy well,
right?
It takes. I just watched something even today. 18 to 24 months to turn that insulin resistance around because your cells have been trained to handle a certain lifestyle of food over a long period of time, maybe decades. And then it takes 18 to 24 months to retrain your cells even. I think that's interesting.
It is interesting. And that cellular memory, I think, is really powerful. And then we add an emotion to it.
Sure.
So we have something that's, oh, that was so good. We're emotional. We're those emotional eaters, and we're recreating the emotion to add to that. And now we think it's a treat. We think this is good. I've never heard of anybody sneaking into the closet to eat cucumbers and carrots. No, they sneak in the closet to eat chocolate or chips or these addictive things. So recognizing that these addictive foods that we eat too, and we're being programmed and marketed to those addictive things, are really also keeping us stuck. So to recognize where those are at least then you know what it's doing internally. Then it's up to you if you want to make a change. But for a simple $48 2-week window for your CGM, I think it's powerful.
Yeah, I was checking out something the other day from Dr. Berg, and he held up a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
And then he pulled up beside you and he held up a cup. And this is how much, and the bag says no sugars added.
Right.
And then but it's equal to, it was like a cup of sugar. He had a clear cup and he showed you how much sugar is equivalent into a bag of Doritos.
Well, I fell for that one. I didn't know. I wasn't eating sugar when I was getting fatter and fatter and fatter. I was eating flour. I was eating processed foods. I was eating all of those things, and you don't even realize where you're getting it. So again, those words that get changed, I'll talk to people. So I don't eat sugar. Well, that's not the sugar bowl we're talking about, but the Wheaties themselves are sugar.
Yeah.
The rice, it is sugar. The pastas, the breads, all of those things are sugar. That's what it converts to. So
right. Well, again, that's an example of just the Doritos. I didn't do that test.
Right.
But no sugar added to the Doritos.
Yeah, you look and you think you're.
It's so deceiving.
Yeah.
That's what's sad about it is if you're not reading labels, you're probably being deceived.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Oh, it is true. And you got to be vigilant to think. I mean, I used to think, okay, well, it's got a heart healthy stamp on it. Like who would want to deceive me in anything? If it's on the shelf, it's got to be good for you. And then, when you start understanding again, the seed oils and the Criscos and all of those certain things, you get your eyes open and you get empowered to make some changes.
Right. Well, as we close the show here, I really want to encourage all of you to, if you, even if you're healthy, I would say try a CGM. And Kathy has a total fear of putting one on because she thinks the needle's going to hurt. Uh-huh. So she's been very hesitant about that. But I can tell you right now, I don't know how the needle is designed. You don't even feel it. I never even felt a thing. It actually just sticks right on. You don't even know the needle entered, and then it syncs with your app. And you basically want keep your phone close if you can, so it's always updating. But even if you left your phone somewhere and came back, it will catch up. It takes about 10 minutes, and then every reading it does will be loaded into your app after just a few minutes.
That's probably my other aversion that gives me a rash is an app and some other technology that I have to figure out. But even if you don't want to do that, you're going to know your insulin is coming down because when insulin is low, fat can go. And with this particular product, it's bringing those blood sugars down and you're getting those measurable results by, first of all, you have some energy, which your cells are getting the energy they need. Second of all, your mood goes up too. Your pant sizes go down. And if you're going to the doctor and have blood tests done, you can see your triglycerides adjusting, your cholesterol adjusting. All of those things are adjusting. Your A1C numbers are coming down. Your fasting insulin is coming down. So there's lots of different markers and way to test it. But to me, this is a really powerful thing. If you're curious and you wonder where your body's at, or if you're stuck and you don't know why things aren't moving, it's really good to figure out your body.
Yeah. Well, we hope this discussion's really helped you. I'm going to put up a QR code for the Unicity Feel Great system. And in this, Kathy and I are starting a competition to see who you like the most. So it's really important. And I will be insulted if you don't like me the most. No, I'm just kidding. But there's 2 QR codes here for the best price. You can just scan it here. It takes you to my QR code to my referral, and you guys can get the best price, and the same for Kathy. So, if you want to try the Feel Great system, it's a 90-day challenge. It's brainless to do in terms of just give it a shot for 90 days. There's a money back guarantee, and it's no questions asked. Literally, they'd be happy to do it if you don't get results, but we know you will. So we're really encouraged. So pick one of those, and we'll know pretty quick who does what. So we'll know who has the best friends.
Well, it's not about friendship. It's about just know that I'll be here to support you. I'll be sending you weekly science calls. I want people to be educated. So be sure you choose wisely. And we want you to have, or I want you to have success. Mark wants you to pick his IQ.
I do.
QR code.
Because I want to win. But at the same time, she's right.
I want you to win.
I'm not.
Everybody gets a reward here.
Yeah, it is true because she's right. She's the one that is going to be following up and doing all that. I have a whole another business to run in the oil field and quite busy with that. So, but you can, we just thought this would be cute to do a little contest. So she put the brakes on that pretty good right there. She did a nice job. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, again, we're thankful for you guys being here, and please subscribe and like. It helps the show. We're getting more and more views. Our last episode, we had over 1,500 as of, was it Tuesday, which is really good for a little show like ours. So you just need to know it really helps if you subscribe and like. It's free to you, helps us grow, gets the algorithm going. We're not trying to monetize, nothing. I've not signed up for anything like that. This is information only, encouragement only, and we want you to be well within. I hope you know that. So thanks for joining us today. It's been a great discussion, and I'm happy to be the guinea pig, and I encourage you guys to try the CGM. I think you'll be shocked at the information you get. Thanks for coming.